Kye and I have raced 3 times on the street, and he kicked my every single time.
So here I am in the semifinals. Sure enough, I drew Big Chief. That's what the whole world wants to see.
Big Chief just crushed Kye Kelly in a breathtaking race, seizing a massive $40,000 prize. The showdown was electrifying, proving yet again that Big Chief is a titan in street racing. This victory wasn't just about the money, it was a bold statement against a familiar enemy. What made this win stand out in a series of high-stakes races? Before we dive in, the stakes were sky high, and trust me, there's even more to this shocking race. Rivalries rev up. The No Prep Kings drag racing competition was in full swing, with that hefty $40,000 prize drawing in the top racers, including Big Chief. His famous Pontiac was ready for battle, facing off against Kye Kelly, a familiar rival. Over the years, Kye had beaten Big Chief in casual races, but on the official track, Big Chief had won twice before. This time, when Kye lined up as his semifinal opponent, the stakes couldn't have been higher. Stay tuned to see how this high-octane rivalry explodes into one of the most unforgettable races yet. As the race started, both cars shot off the line with incredible speed. Kye took an early lead, but Big Chief was hot on his heels. Halfway through, Kye's car began to wobble, swaying dangerously, while Big Chief's Pontiac powered ahead smoothly. By the time they reached the finish line, Big Chief had taken a clear lead, much like a sprinter overtaking a runner who had slowed down. He anxiously watched the scoreboard, which quickly confirmed his victory over Kye, leaving no room for doubt. But this wasn't the most surprising part. Kye Kelly had approached the race carefully, almost like someone making a cautious bet. But in the end, Big Chief's solid Pontiac came through once again, proving its strength. After the race, Big Chief and his team celebrated like kids at a carnival, knowing they had a chance to face the Breer brothers from Virginia in the finals. These guys were known for their incredibly fast car, which could hit a mind-blowing speed of 200 miles per hour. Despite these odds, Big Chief remained hopeful. His Pontiac could reach speeds of 186 miles per hour, and his sharp reflexes were his secret weapon. With $40,000 on the line, he was more determined than ever. The final race was filled with tension. On one side were the Breer brothers with their powerful car, and on the other was Big Chief with his trusty Pontiac, fresh off his win against Kye. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, eager to see the outcome. As soon as the race started, Big Chief's car shot forward slightly ahead. Both cars were neck and neck through the middle of the race, but in a thrilling finish, Big Chief's Pontiac inched past the Breer brothers' car right at the line, securing an incredible victory. But winning wasn't the only challenge Big Chief faced. During the post-race interview, Big Chief was all smiles, excited about his Pontiac's flawless performance. He gave credit to his team's perfect execution with no room for mistakes. As he pocketed the $40,000, he joked about using the prize money for more car upgrades, clearly satisfied with the outcome of the race. The roar of engines, the intensity of rivalries, and the razor-thin margins for error all combined to make this race more than just a street racing event. It was a test of skill and precision where every second counted. Now, the next event loomed on the horizon, the Houston Street Racing Showdown, where racers would once again chase a grand prize of $40,000. The competition would be fierce, with well-known names like Murder Nova, Daddy Dave, Monza, and Boostich from the 405 crew going up against top Texas racers like Chuck Seetsinger, Birdman, Kye Kelly, and Lizzie Moosey. The rivalry between racers from Oklahoma and Texas runs deep, and the two groups often engage in good-natured teasing and challenges even before the engines roar to life. But when the race starts, the lighthearted banter disappears, replaced by intense focus as each driver aims to turn their talk into wins. Their street cars, modified with cutting-edge turbo systems and nitrous boosts, make for an exciting competition. And the tension doesn't end when the green light flashes. These races take place on rough airstrips or racetracks that aren't always perfectly prepared. The drivers have to rely on their skill and their specially designed tires to get the best grip. Before the race, you can always see them doing intense burnouts, creating clouds of smoke and filling the air with the rumble of powerful engines, getting their cars ready for the challenge. When the race kicks off, the atmosphere is charged with energy. The cars explode down the track, vibrating with power as they push toward the finish line. Sometimes the races are so close that the outcome isn't clear until they slow down the footage for a replay to see who actually won. But the hardest part isn't always winning the race. These events follow a strict knockout format where one mistake can mean the end of the road. Drivers have to go from a field of 32 racers down to just 2, with the final race deciding who takes home the big cash prize. Racers often have to compete multiple times in a single day, quickly fixing their cars between races to stay in the game. Though the risks are high, with the chance of breakdowns always looming, the rewards, both financial and personal, keep these racers coming back for more. The thrill of close competition, the joy of victory, and the fierce pride in their skills fuel their passion for street racing. With so much on the line, every race is more than just a contest. It's a battle for honor, pride, and a shot at the top spot in this high-octane world. As we celebrate Big Chief's victory, the story shifts to a new kind of racing, filled with excitement and risk. High-octane, low risk. These days, street racing enthusiasts have found a safer and more controlled way to enjoy their love for speed, far from the dangers of public streets. In these races, the most powerful cars and the most skilled drivers get to shine. But this is just the beginning of a much bigger story. While the prize money is definitely a big motivation, the ultimate goal for these racers is not just the cash, it's about winning the championship title and earning the respect that comes with it. Throughout the season, racers collect points, with 60 points given for a win and fewer points for lower placements. As the season moves forward, the pressure increases and drivers push harder, all aiming for that coveted title. Some racers like to start the season carefully, taking their time to build up points. But the top competitors like Ryan Martin, Kye Kelly, and Dave Akins don't wait around. They go for the win right from the first race. Ryan, for instance, has been a dominant force in past seasons, always collecting wins and points. He's ready to race anyone if it means he can get ahead. Still, his rivals, including Chuck and Birdman, believe that Ryan often avoids direct challenges, preferring to focus on gathering points strategically. But this wasn't the toughest challenge. The 405 crew, knowing Ryan's strategy, have to be clever themselves. Racers like Murder Nova and Daddy Dave avoid racing against each other early on to make sure they all collect as many points as possible. Similarly, in Texas, racers like Kye and Lizzie Moosey, who are part of the same family, aren't afraid to race each other when it helps their team's overall standing. As the season reaches its final stages, the races become even more intense. Some races now offer extra points, sometimes up to 90 or 120 points. Winning these can completely change the leaderboard, allowing racers who have been behind to suddenly catch up. But the pressure can be too much for some. Jeff Lutz, for instance, stumbled in key races just when it mattered most, costing him any chance of winning the championship. But the stakes weren't only about the points. During the most critical races, competitors pushed their cars to the limit, trying out new modifications to get any extra edge they can. Sometimes this leads to dramatic and chaotic results. Racers have been known to collide with their teammates, whether by accident or on purpose, just to get ahead. A memorable moment was when Mustang Mike aimed straight for his teammate Kenny, taking him out of the race to steal his points. As the final race of the season approaches, the tension hits its peak. Racers become desperate, and friendships and alliances are put aside. Some might even turn to shady tactics like messing with their opponent's race setup or, in extreme cases, cheating. The rivalries that build up during the season can even carry over into future seasons, creating long-lasting feuds. One example is the ongoing tension between racers like Burton and Birdman, or Stevie and Chuck, whose disagreements turned into serious rivalries. But the worst part, it's not over until the final race. The championship race is where it all comes down to one day. Points can double, which means a single race can change the standings by as much as 240 points. This is when legends are made. A racer who has done well all season could either cement their place in history or lose it all in one race. Success in this final race can make a racer a champion, while failure means that the entire season's work has been for nothing. The true winner is the one who not only handles the pressure, but comes to the race with a car that's fully prepared and ready to win. The championship race isn't just about being the fastest, it's about surviving until the end, with only one team standing tall while the others plan for next year. Watching the championship race is a sight to behold as unexpected comebacks happen and frontrunners might fall apart under the strain. The whole season is an emotional roller coaster, full of surprises and drama, leading to a thrilling end filled with celebration for some and disappointment for others. In the end, only one racer gets to hold the championship trophy. The winner enjoys the glory for the rest of the year, while the others prepare for the next season. These racers give everything they have at every event, but the true excitement comes from watching them battle through the entire season. It's a long and challenging journey that tests not just their speed, but also their strength, resilience, and ability to rise to the occasion. It's fascinating to see who falls and who rises to the top. At the season's conclusion, one team will take home not only the championship title, but in some cases, a prized race car as a trophy. And we are left wondering, was the win worth all the sacrifices they made along the way? Now, as the excitement continues, a serious accident puts everything at stake for kamikaze Chris. Crash on the track. In a recent episode of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings Kamikaze, Chris faced a terrible accident that left everyone stunned. Growing up surrounded by racing, Chris didn't see it as just a hobby, it was a huge part of who he was. His love for the sport came from his father, who spent countless hours with him working on cars and pushing their limits on the track. They celebrated victories together and learned from their losses. Everything Chris knew about life and racing came from his dad's teachings, which pushed him to go beyond his limits. However, after this serious crash, many are left wondering what lies ahead for his racing career. Chris isn't just any racer, he's someone who truly stands out in the racing world. What began as a childhood passion inspired by his father grew into a career that has made him a well-known name in the racing community. His journey is full of strong relationships, tough losses, and a deep commitment to racing. Chris's story is one of resilience and passion, showing just how dedicated he is to the sport. As he prepares for what could be one of the most important races of his life, a tough opponent steps onto the scene, setting up a race that could change everything for Chris. His journey began early in his life, with his father acting as his biggest influence. More than just a mentor, his father taught him the importance of hard work, discipline, and respect for the sport. These lessons stayed with Chris and shaped his entire approach to both life and racing. As Chris grew older, racing became more than just something fun to do. It became a way for him to connect with his father. They competed in different types of races, from bike events to car competitions, spending hours together tuning engines and strategizing for their next race. Over time, their bond deepened through this shared passion. But everything changed when Chris lost his father unexpectedly at the age of 44. This loss hit him hard, leaving a gap in his life that was difficult to fill. Even though he was grieving, Chris made a promise to keep his father's memory alive by living according to the values his father had taught him. Racing became a way to honor his father, and he often shared his memories on social media to keep that connection alive. Though his father was gone, Chris didn't give up on the values he had been taught. He stayed dedicated to the sport, pushing himself to improve and making sure his father's legacy lived on through his efforts. Along the way, Chris met two important figures, Justin Shearer, known as Big Chief, and Tyler Pretty, also known as Flip. These two men became more than just friends, they were a crucial part of his racing journey. Chris's passion for racing wasn't just about competing, it also led him to build strong friendships. His bond with Justin and Tyler was built on much more than just their love for racing. They spent hours together discussing strategies, practicing, and setting goals. They were always there for each other, helping one another to become better racers. But their friendship wasn't only about racing, it was deeply rooted in the values Chris's father had passed down, which Justin and Tyler greatly respected. But this wasn't the hardest part of Chris's journey. Tragically, Tyler's life was cut short in an unexpected and unresolved incident. His sudden loss deeply affected Chris, Justin, and the whole racing community. Despite their grief, Chris and Justin decided to honor Tyler's memory by continuing to race. Tyler had a special connection to his 1981 Chevrolet El Camino, affectionately named Elko. For him, Elko was more than just a car. It was a reflection of his dedication to the sport. He spent hours working on it, making it the perfect symbol of his passion for racing. After Tyler's passing, Chris took on the responsibility of racing Elko, turning each race into a tribute to his late friend. This gesture showed just how much Tyler had meant to Chris and Justin, as well as the entire racing community. Every time Chris took Elko to the track, it wasn't just about winning, it was about keeping Tyler's spirit alive. The bond they shared wasn't just about racing cars, it was about friendship, loyalty, and honoring those they had lost. People have always admired how kamikaze Chris made each car his own, turning them into more than just machines for racing. For him, it wasn't just about how fast they could go on the track. Every car showed his deep love for racing and the careful attention he put into each detail. This connection between Chris and his cars really struck a chord with his fans. His story on Street Outlaws wasn't just about winning races. It was about showing courage, creativity, and a special bond with his vehicles. He faced plenty of challenges in the beginning, but his hard work and creative style quickly won over viewers. But just when everything seemed to be going well, a big challenge was about to hit. In the year 2020, Chris encountered one of the toughest moments in his career. While he had celebrated many victories, a serious accident during an important race changed everything. He was driving his beloved El Camino, pushing it to the limits as he always did. But this time, disaster struck. The car spun out of control, and no matter how hard Chris tried to correct it, a crash was inevitable. The accident was more than just a small mishap, it was severe. Both Chris and the El Camino were badly damaged. He was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries, while his El Camino, a car full of memories and meaning, was nearly destroyed. This accident marked a difficult chapter in Chris's career, showing just how dangerous and unpredictable racing can be. But this wasn't the end of his story. Chris wasn't ready to give up. Plans were made to not only fix the El Camino, but to make it better than before, with even more of his personal style. He was determined to get back on the track, showing that he still had what it took to compete. Rebuilding the El Camino and working on a new race car, the CT Vet, showed just how dedicated he was to racing. When the El Camino finally returned to the track, it wouldn't just be about Chris's comeback, it would be a tribute to his friend who had passed, marking a fresh start filled with new challenges and races. Fans couldn't wait to see Chris bring the El Camino back to life in his own unique way. The car held so much emotional meaning, but the introduction of the CT Vet showed that Chris was ready to take on new challenges and grow as a racer. Every detail of the car's renovation was carefully planned, with the latest technology reflecting Chris's evolving strategies on the racetrack. His goal was to make his mark again in the racing world, to return to Street Outlaws and compete with both the rebuilt El Camino and his new CT Vet. But the journey wouldn't be easy. Chris knew that there were many challenges ahead, but his love for racing and his strong commitment kept him going. His future was closely tied to his past successes, and he was determined to reach even greater heights. Whether it was through his YouTube channel, restoring the El Camino, or unveiling the CT Vet, Chris was ready to keep making an impact in the racing community, driven by his memories of his friend and his passion for the sport. But this wasn't the hardest part. Chris's fans were excited to see him back in action, and he was determined to uphold the reputation he had built over the years, one race at a time. After the accident in 2020, Chris took time to recover and think about his next steps. He decided to make some changes, revamping his auto shop, growing his YouTube channel, and rebuilding the El Camino. At the same time, he was preparing his new race car, the CT Vet. Despite his fame, Chris has always kept his personal life private. He doesn't seek the spotlight when it comes to his relationships or personal matters, which only made fans more curious about him. Still, one thing was certain: his passion for racing had never faded. For Chris, racing wasn't just a sport, it was part of who he was. Inspired by his father, who was also a racer, Chris had learned important lessons that shaped how he approached the sport. You could see his father's influence in every race Chris ran, every car he worked on, and every win or loss he faced. More than his skill with cars, Chris's real strength came from his ability to bounce back from tough situations. He had faced many challenges, from losing close friends to surviving accidents that nearly took his life. but every time he came back stronger. Thanks for watching. Chris has faced and overcome tremendous challenges, but can his legacy in street racing ever really be safe? Like, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.